and that is why I will accept this award as a call to action.
Well, this is what we've become, and there's his call to action. And if you believe this world has a right to see this footage, they can make their own decision. Get this video out to everybody and demand YouTube and others stop buckling to government pressure to shut down the truth. You know, you've seen where YouTube admits, their parent company Google, the federal government, is telling them to shut down police brutality videos, shut down videos, quote, critical of the U.S. government. We are becoming the equivalent of communist China and its atrocities. And it's wrong. If we're going to criticize the Chinese for censorship, it's time to point out what's happening. So I'm throwing the gauntlet down. We're putting this up on the YouTube channel, and I'm going to have to take action because, look, the people, like Walter Cronkite said, have a right to not be manipulated and lied to. They have a right to see what's really going on in their name. And that little child in absolute horror with the whole bottom of their face blown off is just a snapshot of the millions that have been killed in these globalist wars. And it needs to stop. It needs to come to an end now.
We will work with the international community to provide assistance to the people of Libya who need food for the hungry and medical care for the wounded. We will safeguard the more than $33 billion that was frozen from the Gaddafi regime so that it's available to rebuild Libya.
Early in 2011, Libya was faced with a chaotic insurrection, partly inspired by the revolts in Tunisia and Egypt, and partly led by Islamic fundamentalists. In March, NATO forces, mainly from France and Britain, began aerial bombardment on the pretext of protecting civilians, but the intervention sided with the rebels and armed them in violation of the UN Charter. With NATO's help, the opposition forces occupied the capital and later carried out the extrajudicial killing of Gaddafi. Since NATO's, quote, humanitarian intervention and the murder of Gaddafi, the country's territory has become a battleground between feuding warlords and Islamic fundamentalist groups, including the Islamic State. Libya no longer has a functioning government, and the gains in public welfare under Gaddafi have been greatly diminished.
You went for humanitarian purposes, yet 50,000 Libyans lie dead because the West wanted access to the wealth of Libya.
After all, the money doesn't belong to Gaddafi or to us. It belongs to the Libyan people, and we'll make sure they receive it.
The country's economy plunged into crisis as well. There was a six-fold drop in oil production, while GDP fell by more than half. Once considered one of Africa's richest nations, now almost a third of all Libyans live below the poverty line. The country also remains torn apart by different political factions.
40 years of tyranny has left Libya fractured and without strong civil institutions.
Gaddafi wasn't sitting in any tent twiddling his thumbs over these last 10 years. This man has been investing in African development. This man has been moving throughout Africa. This man has friends all over the world. He may not be your friend, but if you take him out and kill him like he's some rotten fella that wants to kill his own people, what did you do in Waco? What did you do when your people rose up? Did you talk them out of it? No, they had weapons, you bombed them. What did you do in Philadelphia with the MOVE movement? Did you talk them out of their home or did you bomb them? We didn't hear any outcry from you religious hypocrites that love the lives of human beings. You're a liar and a hypocrite.
Some question why America should intervene at all, even in limited ways, in this distant land. They argue that there are many places in the world where innocent civilians face brutal violence at the hands of their government.
Is open a stress-free Numerica checking account. So follow the steps and presto, you're automatically entered to win. You get one entry every month you qualify through February of this year.
We all need some aloha. Don't forget your sunscreen.
You'll automatically be entered to win a trip to paradise with you. Visit your favorite Numerica branch or go online to Numerica.
At least 13 gunshots were fired by the officers, who decided to shoot, quote, after the man refused to listen to their commands, according to Police Captain Ken Roski. Apparently, refusal to instantly comply now mandates summary execution. All I saw was this poor guy running from the cops, and I saw him go down, one witness said. I saw the cops shooting at him. I didn't see no gun, no reason. I just saw him go down. Another eyewitness said, quote, I really thought they were just going to walk up and tackle or tase him, but they opened fire. His back was turned. Numerous eyewitnesses, including children, saw the incident unfold. After the man was shot, his dead body was handcuffed by police. The officers will be placed on paid leave while police investigate the incident.
Also supporting a transition to the future that the Libyan people deserve. Because while our military mission is narrowly focused on saving lives, we continue to pursue the broader goal of a Libya that belongs not to a dictator, but to its people.
This is the world as it exists today.
In a wealthier suburb of Tripoli, a rival faction had already been absorbed into Libya's central security. They'd just rounded up a group of migrants ready to be moved to a detention center.
It's true that America cannot use our military wherever repression occurs.
Là en Libye, moi j'ai 2 ans ici en Libye. Je travaille la mécanique. Dans la nuit aussi, les policiers sont venus agresser les gens, arrêter les gens. Deuxième foyer, les foyers on habite, ça fait des années qu'on habite là. Ils ont tiré 2 gars sur le pied. Ils ne nous ont pas demandé ni papier, ni quoi comme ça là. Ils nous ont pris. Et tout le monde sait que l'Italie n'est pas Italie. La Libye n'est pas un pays de la paix maintenant. C'est un pays sécurisé ou quoi comme ça là, qui n'a pas de sécurité.
To brush aside America's responsibility as a leader, and more profoundly our responsibilities to our fellow human beings under such circumstances.
If numbers and arrests are becoming a way for the militias to legitimize themselves, then thousands of migrants who are now residing and working in Libya could also be at risk of being detained.
Would have been a betrayal of who we are. Some nations may be able to turn a blind eye to atrocities in other countries. The United States of America is different.
قول العالم يا كلب قول الله أكبر شريف الله أكبر الله أكبر قول العالم يا كلب قول تعال أنت تعال أقرب شيء يا كلب أقرب قول العالم قول العالم قول يا مصخ يا دواغي يا كلب يا مصخ.
We welcome the fact that history is on the move in the Middle East and North Africa, and that young people are leading the way. Because wherever people long to be free, they will find a friend in the United States.
No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop. Let me out. Let me out. I want out.
I am convinced that a failure to act in Libya would have carried a far greater price for America.
According to some, it's about protecting civilians.
And our resolve is clear. The people of Libya must be protected.
Others say it's about oil.
The only reason they're interested with Libya is about the oil. You think we'd be in Iraq if the major export there was broccoli?
But some are convinced intervention in Libya is all about currency, specifically Gaddafi's plan to introduce the gold dinar, a single African currency made from gold, a true sharing of the wealth.
It's one of these things that you have to plan almost in secret, because as soon as you say you're going to change over from the dollar to something else, you're going to be targeted. There were two conferences on this, one in '96 and another one in the year 2000, called the World Mataba Conference, organized by Gaddafi. And everybody was interested. I think most countries in Africa were keen.
Gaddafi didn't give up. In the months leading up to the military intervention, he called on African and Muslim nations to join together to create this new currency that would rival the dollar and euro. They would sell oil and other resources around the world only for gold dinars. It's an idea that would shift the economic balance of the world. Countries' wealth would depend on how much gold they have, not how many dollars they trade. And Libya has 144 tons of gold. The UK has double that, but 10 times the population.
And do whatever it takes to bring down Gaddafi and usher in a new government.
If Gaddafi had an intent to try to reprice his oil or whatever else the country was selling in the global markets and accept something else as a currency, or maybe launch a gold dinar currency, any move such as that would certainly not be welcomed by the power elite today who are responsible for controlling the world's central banks. So yes, that would certainly be something that would cause his immediate dismissal and the need for other reasons to be brought forth for removing him from power.
It's happened before. In 2000, Saddam Hussein announced Iraqi oil would be traded in euros, not dollars. Sanctions and an invasion followed. Some say because the Americans were desperate to prevent OPEC from transferring oil trading in all its member countries to the euro. A gold dinar would have had serious consequences for the world financial system, but may also have empowered the people of Africa, something black activists say the US wants to avoid at all costs.
The United States should welcome the self-determination of Africans. They certainly have denied self-determination to Africans inside the United States, so we're not surprised by anything that the United States would do to hinder self-determination of Africans on the continent.
The UK's gold is kept here in a secure vault somewhere in the depths of the Bank of England. As in most developed countries, there's not enough to go around. But that's not the case in places like Libya and many of the Gulf states. A gold dinar would have given oil-rich African and Middle Eastern countries the power to turn around to their energy-hungry customers and say, sorry, the price has gone up and we want gold. Some say the US and its NATO allies literally couldn't afford to let that happen.